Welcome to this Shortwave Radio channel, and this is the video number 2 for the tips on using shortwave receivers. The first one that I posted was about where to purchase these radios. Like I said in the first video, better to purchase at a local known vendor if possible, like Amazon or something that's a place where that if there's a problem, the return policy isn't too difficult compared to eBay. Now we're going to address another type of problem here that is a common problem. I've seen this dozens of times with my radios, and this is not related to, because a lot of people tend to say, well, they're related to the cheap Chinese radios, and no, they are related to every radio I've owned. I've had so many receivers, including grading receivers and so on, that have I've had that problem or a problem at some point. So it has to do with behavior of your receiver. So these receivers today, the most modern ones with the digital readouts and so on, they're kind of small computers, if you want, at the same time as they are radios. And that is causing an issue sometimes. It might happen that your radio is behaving real bad. So, you turn it on, the display isn't right, or it's frozen, nothing happens when you press the buttons, or, it just behaves so strange that suddenly it's like, what the hell? Doesn't turn on, everything goes blank, including the display, and it doesn't seem to work anymore. These are very, very, very common problems. This is something I've seen on almost every receiver I own once I start using it a lot. And there's multiple factors that happen here. First of all, they are, like I said, a lot of them are complex, almost computer-like receivers. And this means the chip that controls it might actually go berserk for some reason. So what that means is, and even the page system, the memory system of the channels, when you enter frequencies and so on, even the memories can actually become corrupt for some reason. So that is something that has to do with different factors. It could be simply the radio. For some reason, it just, over time, like a computer that you use and use and use for weeks, and one day you use it and it's all weird, and you decided, okay, let's shut it down and restart. Same thing happens with a radio. And it also can be due, and this happens often, to static electricity. Static is not always the type that zaps you and you feel it. Sometimes it's there, but you just it was not a high enough spark for you to feel it. But there was still static electricity when you touched the telescopic antenna, for example, or when you touched the radio. Maybe you went with your hands close to one of the connectors and it zapped. And it doesn't mean that it killed the radio, but it might actually have it behaving weird or freeze or do all sorts of weird things suddenly. So these are common issues and not necessarily a bad radio. I would say that I have not seen a higher rate of that type of problem on, say, Texan receivers or XH Data or C-Crane or Grundig. Or it's common to all radios. It's not common to a specific radio. So what do you do when that happens? Well, there are several ways of dealing with this, depending on the radios. A lot of receivers have a little pinhole where it says reset. So that is one of the things you could try. And most of the time, that is enough. Most of the times, this works. To give you an idea, the Sanji and ATS 909X that you see on the right side of this picture actually suffered weird behavior about a week and a half after I used it. And the way to actually fix it is I actually had to reset the radio. And it came back to normal. So it's possible that I zapped it somehow without even noticing while touching the telescopic antenna or something. It's very, very dry here in the wintertime. And that is a problem for sometimes. And you got to be careful because you can really, static electricity can zap a receiver to a point where it becomes unusable. Now, you don't have a reset button. What do you do? Well, if you don't have a reset button, then the trick that I usually have is remove the batteries for 24 hours. And I really mean the 24 hours. Some people say, well, remove the batteries, put them back, and it doesn't work. No, not 1 hour, 24 hours. Why? Because inside the receiver, there's capacitors that have power. 24 hours gives time to a lot of the capacitors and the circuits to actually discharge. And that really means that when you put the batteries back, everything's back to zero. This is a trick that works surprisingly well for a lot of radios also. Removing all power for 24 hours, batteries, everything. And then you put the batteries back and everything's back to normal. So these are little tricks that you should try because it does happen, and it happens in every radio. So if one day you turn on the radio, display is wrong, or it's frozen, or it doesn't respond, don't think that it's bad. It might just be in a state of, amnesia or something. So remove the batteries and let it, if there's no reset or reset doesn't work, remove the batteries for 24 hours, put them back. There's a very high chance that you're getting your radio back and everything's back to normal. If you enjoy my videos, please subscribe, give us thumbs up. Thank you for watching.